Presenting the Stratford Monument Part 2. Those Dusty Bones. We return once again to Stratford's Holy Trinity Church, where there is the most famous monument to a writer in the world. William Shakespeare's. This is a sequel to the previous video, Stay Passenger. If you have not watched that video, I would suggest you do so to get the gist of what the rest of this video will say. The question I have is, does this slab commemorate the Stratford man? His name is missing from the inscription. To discover more about the inscription, we need to backtrack just a bit. We need to look again at the main inscription beneath the monument. What does this mean? Quick nature died, whose name doth deck this tomb. The words are specific, this tomb. But this is not a tomb, it's a demi-figure wall monument in an alcove. And there is no name here on the ledger stone other than Jesus. And where is Hic Jacet, or here lies? There's room above the verse for here lies Shakespeare. And there's room beneath the verse for here lies Shakespeare. Something doesn't really add up. In 2017, a study showed that there is probably nothing beneath it. This is the paper by Erica Carrick-Utsi and Kevin Coles, The GPR Investigation of the Shakespeare Family Graves, published in Archaeological Prospection, Volume 24, Issue 4, the October-December 2017 volume. And there is no room for an adult male inside the cavity. Here is what they wrote. As for the grave presumed to be that of William Shakespeare, grave 2, this appears to be unnaturally short, since neither it nor any of the other family graves appear to extend into the area beneath the altar step. From figures 10 and 13, this grave does not appear large enough to contain an adult male, and the evidence could potentially be construed, as has been suggested, that the grave does not contain a burial. Emphases added. It appears to be less than 4 feet long, too short for a fully grown adult male. Furthermore, it is too shallow to accommodate any burial, less than 3 feet. Anything less than 5 feet deep would allow gases from the decomposing body to escape into the church, poisoning parishioners. The study suggests Shakespeare and his family were buried in shrouds. But shrouds were also hazardous to those still alive if they were buried in the church. If he was buried in a shroud, why was the monument built? On the one hand, the family would have been extremely cheap when burying his remains. On the other hand, they allegedly went to great expense to build a lavish monument. It does not make any sense. And why is his name missing from the ledger stone? The Utsi and Coles paper suggests that the stone may have been moved to mark the alleged grave. Here is what they say. The GPR data raises the suspicion that the current positions of the ledger stones and also the western limit of the lower altar step, may have been matched to that of the archaeological remains beneath. If this is true, the stone may have been originally placed in front of the charnel house. And if that is the case, then the slab is about the bones interred in the former charnel house. This is strong evidence the slab is not over any grave at all, but placed merely to lead people to believe there is one. There are more puzzles in this inscription. We need to use the brass plaque to see them better. Then bit trace the letters and invert the colors. We treat the main block of letters as a box when finding and solving puzzles, just as we did in the main inscription. These letters here join up oddly. Notice the gap separating the TH ligature and the E on line 2. It is wider than necessary. I believe we're meant to add the gematria values in these oddly joined letters. Pause here and do the sum for yourself. The sum is 197, which is a digit sum number. 197 subtract 9, the values of the larger uppercase G and B along the left-hand margin of the block of letters, equals 188. 188 subtract 9, the value of the lowercase I in Jesus, equals 179. What are the odds 3 sequential digit sum numbers could be found in these puzzles? 179, 188, and 197. All the digits in these three numbers add to our target number. The arrangement of these letters is a strong clue the puzzle is real. It was a duh moment when I discovered it. Can you see it? Can you see it now? Can you see it now? Duh. We need to find the number 3 times to confirm we are on the right track. Pause again and try to find more simple instances of the number. Don't do anything fancy, just count or add. There are 17 characters after the I in Jesus for number 2. There are 17 characters after the V in dust, number 3. But that gives us another example of the trio sunt omnia principle in which 3 is everything. This arrangement of these letters also mimics a familiar shape, a Mason's square. This suggests Freemasons were responsible for this stone and the monument. This might be a gematria sum related to that shape along the left-hand margin of the block of letters. We subtract the sum in the red boxes from the sum in the yellow boxes, as per our principle that we subtract smaller numbers from larger numbers. The remainder is 11, representing the letter L. L is a homophone of El, the Hebrew word for God, suggesting that God had a hand in creating the monument and the ledger stone. Here is another gematria sum puzzle. For our first extra puzzle, we add the gematria values for all of these letters along the outer margins. Here is another gematria sum puzzle. Add the gematria values for these same size letters within the boxes. Don't forget, we are treating the main block of letters as a single entity. Now we will conduct a few more gematria experiments. For each line in the inscription, we will sum up isolated letter gematria values, then do some simple calculations. For gematria sum 3, let's begin with these letters in line 1. Notice there are no letters directly below the middle of those letters on line 1. We have an O, an E, an F, a V, and another E. We will add their gematria values. Then we subtract the lowercase I value from the sum. Remember that we subtract things that are different from a group. Then we subtract the uppercase G value from the remainder, simply because the letter G is in a larger size. For number 4, we look for letters on line 2 which do not have letters directly above them up to the lowercase I. It forms a visual clue to stop there. The right hand of our second hidden number is another clue where to stop. Now we just add the values for these letters, I, E, and V. Remember and notice there are no uppercase letters directly above them. Next, for number 5, we find letters which have no letters above them as before. Add all of the values you find. These are the letters E, E, M, and S from line 3. Next, for line 4, we add the letter values on line 3 which have no letters directly below them up to the 7 edge. These are the 2 letters. Here are the solutions. Puzzle 1 is 85, 2 is 40, 3 and 4 are both 34, 5 and 6 are both 40. What are we to make of these enigmas? Line 1 has a lowercase I for Jesus, where you would expect to see an uppercase I. As shown here, this should be an uppercase I from Jesus in line 1. And these words from line 3 are missing their last letters. Blessed is missing its D, and these is missing an E. This is what I call the Stratford triangle, because when you join up these 3 enigmas, they form an interesting little triangle. I had a question when I looked at this. What if we line up the lowercase I with the missing letters in the order that they appear? Like this. Do these clues suggest a name and who may have created this? What if the arrangement of the enigmas is a clue? Pause again and figure out if a name may be hidden here. I believe the hidden name is that of the most famous polymath of his time. This man, John Dee. The I becomes his first initial, and the DE become a homophone for his last name. It's quite amazing that we can get his name from these little anomalies. And don't forget, he often signed his works with a triangle for the Greek letter delta. For more on John Dee's inscription, see Alexander Waugh's video, The Incalculable Genius of John Dee. If this is true, this means this inscription was written or planned prior to Dee's death in 1609, contemporaneous with the publication of the sonnets. And if that's the case, this puts an entirely new slant and perspective on the entire Shakespeare authorship issue. One last clue: the man from Stratford was not the playwright has been in sight since day one. The poem is doggerel, which is utterly unlike the works. Just as an aside, I'm going to present to you some more monkey business from Stratford. Here is an Associated Press article on the slab and the study. The title is "Shakespeare's Skull May Be Missing from Grave, Scientists Say." It was published London, March 24, 2016 at 12 a.m. GMT. The article reads, "Archaeologists who scanned the grave of William Shakespeare say they have made a startling discovery. His skull appears to be missing." The researchers used ground-penetrating radar to explore beneath the playwright's tomb in Stratford-upon-Avon's Holy Trinity Church. Kevin Calls, who led the study, said the team found an odd disturbance at the head end. The study does not say there are bodies below the floor or that a skull is missing. Here are two direct quotes from the paper. The first one on pages 13 and 14 reads, "It is difficult to be completely sure of the extent of graves 1, Anne Hathaway, and 2, Shakespeare, due to the irregular patterning of strong signals suggesting both air, black, and potential contents, white gray." On page 15 they write, "The mix of dark and light within the boundaries of the grave associated with William suggests that there is material within this grave, whether it is soil, human remains, or a mixture of both." And Erica Carrick-Utzi led the study, not Kevin Coles. Her name appears before Kevin's in the credits. Let this be a lesson to anyone viewing this, that they are not to take all Associated Press or any other press articles for granted as true. The person who wrote the Associated Press article was making inferences and putting words into the mouths of the two researchers. Furthermore, the author miscredited who was the leader of the study. And all of this makes me wonder who these inscriptions were alluding to, the one from the main monument and the ledger slab. Recall from Stay Passenger the 19 sums found in the main inscription. The sums found from this inscription fit right in. We have 10 multiples of 17. We have 6-digit sum numbers. We have 2 mirrors of 17. We have 6 multiples of 20. We have 2 Latin alphabet repeating count values of VV. We have 1 Latin alphabet repeating count value of VVV. We have 1 Latin alphabet repeating count value of 4 O's. None of these numbers appear to be random. It is clear from these results that the designers of these plaques were hiding clues to the identity of one man as the author Shakespeare. Here is the man most often identified by the numbers 17, 20, 34, 40, 43, 66, and 71. He was also writing as Shakespeare. Edward de Vere, the 17th Earl of Oxford. Thanks for watching. Don't miss part 3. Where did the steps go? Stay safe.